Welcome into Celtics Late Night. Ben Vallis here along with Jake Eisenberg. And Jake, the Celtics, they're going back to the NBA Finals, man. How we doing?
Smooth sailing.
Oh,
Every game of this series under control, never in doubt. The Celtics, man, proving they can win in the clutch. And, I didn't think we were going to get a lot of clutch moments potentially in this series, but every game, 3 out of 4 games were like heart-stopping games. And the Celtics, for how incredible they've been, this is probably the one piece that I think coming to the playoffs where I was a bit like, they still worry me in these moments. And to get some reps in these spots, like maybe they should have won these games, should have, whatever. We can probably get into that. But they're in those spots. The Pacers played way better than I think a lot of people thought they were going to. And they took it to the Celtics, and the Celtics needed to dig deep on the road, undefeated on the road, and close out another come-from-behind clutch win.
yeah, man. Dick Leip on his Twitter has a lot of awesome clutch stats that he just put out in the last couple of hours. Game 4, 15-4 run over the final 5 minutes and 50 seconds. Game 3, 15-4 run over the final 3 minutes. Game 1, 23-13 run over the final 6 minutes and 45 seconds. And there's way more clutch stuff up there on Dick Leip's Twitter. You should go check it out. Credit to him. So I don't know if we can call this clutch, but at some point on this show, Jack Simone and Sam LaFrance of the How About Them Celtics podcast might jump on this stream as well. Jack, of course, is in the building there in India and might have some spicy insights onto the post-game celebration. So look out for those guys possibly jumping in. But Jake, the Celtics back to the NBA Finals, first time since 2022. Now Joe Mazzulla has taken us as far as Ime has taken us, so maybe we can stop some of those conversations. And just shout out to the guys, man. Everyone looks so stoked with undertones of we've still got another big step to take before we really celebrate. That hasn't stopped me celebrating. I've been lying on the couch with the laptop, eating grapes, consuming all of the content. We got a boatload of clips here in our StreamYard ready to play back to you guys watching live on YouTube or listening later on the podcast. Shout out to the podcast listeners as well. But Jake, where do you want to kick this one off?
Well, I don't want to take too much credit, obviously. This is a team effort, from O'Shea Brissett to Steve Mihalik to Jordan Walsh to Wick Grossbeck to you to me. Everybody in the chat, everybody out there that's been listening, we're all contributing. We're all giving our energy and our power to this Celtics team. But me specifically, clutching the decision to choose the bucket hat with the palm trees after we go down in game 2 to the Cavs. We're now 7-0 in the palm tree bucket hat and 3-0 in the closeout Christmas sweater. So
hell yeah.
I don't want to say, I'm humbly one of the best fans in the world out there. First team all fan. But
first team all fan. Yeah, I'll give you that.
It's tough on this podcast. It's similar to the Celtics. Are we going to be rewarded in the way that we are a super team group? Who knows? But we're not worried about that. We're worried about getting Banner 18 up on the rafters. But yeah, man, where do we want to start? We can go individual. We can go broad. But I think defensively, again, it reminded me a lot of Game 3 in that the Pacers again come out and are just lights out, man. Andrew, the defense, solid. I honestly thought the defense was solid. And the Pacers just hit, not perfect, don't get me wrong. And it's clear that they have this extra gear that they're either saving or they're just not quite hitting until they absolutely need to. And they have done that the last couple of games here. But man, Nembhard, again, Siakam, all the tough jumpers. They were TJ McConnell, a.k.a. the white Michael Jordan. He was just going at us again, all first half, into the third, into the fourth. And this offense, man, they're no joke. I think Nembhard's going to be a guy. We'll see if this is a flash in the pan type of guy, but he's a second-year player, 31st overall pick. And man, to do what he did without Halliburton out there, sometimes you never know what an injury can give you. Similar to this Celtics team, Hayward goes down. Who knows if we find out what Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown can be if we don't lose Kyrie and Hayward in their first year, and Nembhard comes out with these monster performances.
Yeah, dude, Nembhard was fantastic, and the Pacers did, like, first of all, credit the Pacers. It was a very competitive sweep, very similar to that Nets series a couple of years ago, and they cooked in the mid-range all series. That's what we were giving up to them defensively. If you look at their shot frequency stats, they took the majority of their shots from mid-range, but upheld a unusually high field goal percentage and efficiency from that range, and you kind of expected for that efficiency to find its level as the series progressed, and it didn't, which is why we got 3 really close games out of 4 and a really competitive sweep. And Pascal Siakam, and like you said, especially Andrew Nembhard, was just absolutely cooking from mid-range. Al Horford got targeted a lot. Late in this game, you saw as the Pacers were inbounding the ball, this is kind of where things started to really turn around for the Celtics. You saw Jason Tatum put up the 1-5 hand signal, which is let's start switching 1 through 5. Al started switching on those ball screens, started guarding Nembhard or whoever the ball handler was for the Pacers. And that's not a sustainable level of defensive tenacity throughout a full 48-minute game. You've said this a bunch of times throughout the series, Jake. So. If you go to that with 5 minutes to go and you've preserved your energy responsibly to that point, which we had, then you can really start to lock in and make things happen. And that's when we started to really manufacture some magical moments on the defensive end, start to turn them over, get out in transition and start to find some cooking on the other end. So credit to Horford for nullifying Andrew Nembhard as the game closed out there. I haven't got like the last 5 minute stats here for Nembhard, but I think there was a stretch where the Pacers hadn't scored for like 3 minutes and 30 seconds as that game closed out. So dialed up the defense. It was different from game 3 in that you could really start to sense the momentum shift halfway through the third quarter a couple of nights ago. This one, it was like, man, geez, like exasperated. Like if you playback.tv/Celtics blog, that's where we live stream watch parties for all the games. Me, Spoonie, Jake are in there shitting our pants. Like, where is this going to come from? We're going back to Boston, game 5. Like, all right, starting to talk ourselves into how that's going to go down. And then out of nowhere, man, just Drew Holiday and 1, a late Jason Tatum 3, Jaylen Brown block on one end, play makes and kicks to Derek White on the other end for like the game clinching 3. Just an insanely exhausting yet insanely exciting turn of events there to somehow come out with that W. So good.
It felt like we were down 20 the whole game. It felt like what last game felt like, but we were down. It never got to double digits, I don't think. I think it got to 9 at one point.
9.
But we were down 4 at one point in the fourth quarter with like 6 minutes to go. And I was like, dude, I feel like this is insurmountable right now. I'm not sure why it feels like that. I think it's just the weight of the playoffs. And you think about the players and the mental load of going on a run. It's hard, man. Like they always talk about how these closeout games are the hardest. It's like you want to get through, you want to end the series so badly. The other team does not want to go home. They're like, especially they're down 0-3, they're playing free, like they just don't have anything to lose. And this Pacers team, no expectations really the entire playoff run, really. Outside of the first series because they had Giannis and the Dame ends up going out late as well. No expectations really to beat the Knicks. No expectations to beat the Celtics. So to play and then their style just like absolutely just feeds right into that kind of mentality where it's just run, gun, let it fly, believe in yourself. And it got them to, again, another fourth quarter lead. And I was like, dude, I don't know. How are we going to get over this hill? And then eventually we started making those plays eventually down the stretch. I do have 50 seconds from the playback stream here in those moments. How are we going so slow?
Oh.
Come on,
Please,
Derek.
Come on, Derek.
Buffalo! Come on! Big one. You do want to milk this thing. What is... Here we go. Come on, Tatum, please. Drew! Let's go! Give it to Derek.
Shoot
Give it to
it!
Derek.
Go!
Yes, into the sky! Into the skies! Celtics are going to the finals!
Yes!
We're going to the finals!
How did they fucking win that game?
They did it again! They did it again!
Oh,
shit!
What? Oh man, that's
Ben,
so good. I feel
I think
like
you said it best.
legitimately emotional watching that game. Sorry, go
You
ahead.
said it. How the fuck did they win that game? Like, that's what it felt like. And all of a sudden, like, the last few minutes of this game felt like just one long turnover. Like, everybody, the Tatum threw the ball into Drew. I haven't even been able to watch that yet. Like, I don't know what happened. Like, all of a sudden, like, they were up. They had multiple chances to go up. They couldn't quite get there. Yeah, and always funny to watch Spoonie try and be quiet and not wake up his family while. Oh man, so good, so good, man.
Spoonie quiet celebrations. It's a sign that things are going well in our world. So love to see it. So I guess we've kind of talked about the game, and we've got a lot of time where we can circle back on the series. We'll do our end of the wife whisper. Yeah, shout out to Ryan in the chat. We'll do our end of series recap. We've been doing end of series awards shows after each series so far in this playoff run. So in the next couple of days, we'll get to that. And we're going to try and be live here on this channel pretty much every day. I think we might actually take a day off tomorrow, but then pretty much every day there on in, we're going to be live on this channel. So make sure you like the stream, let other people know, let the YouTube algorithm know that this is worthwhile Celtics content, and please subscribe so you don't miss anything that we've got coming up soon. Yeah, we're going to need to get Spoonie some scream suppressants or something for the finals, something to nullify, de-amplify that primal screaming that Spoonie tends to do during the game. So Jaylen Brown, he, I think, very rightfully won the Larry Bird Trophy, the Eastern Conference Finals MVP. We've got a little snapshot of the voting here. You can see, obviously, the majority of the votes went to Jaylen Brown, but Tatum did get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Very, very close. In your mind, Jake, is this a worthwhile award for JB?
I thought coming into tonight, Tatum had the edge. I do think, though, like from a narrative perspective, like if you want to go pure, like objective impact, like Tatum was pretty clearly the guy. Like you look at the on-off numbers, it was like easily Tatum. But game one, Jaylen Brown, like the steal or like the forces the turnover and then hits, the behind the backboard shot to send the game to overtime. And then game two has the 40 bomb. Really solid, 24 points on 10 for 18 in game three. And man, early in this game, it did not look like Jaylen Brown was going to be winning the Eastern Conference Finals MVP. I think he started the game 1 for 6. Like he is doing the Jaylen Brown fumbling around thing, and I'm like, this is not usually a game where Jaylen kind of like regains his composure. But the complete opposite, man. I mean, on that last play to Derek White, like it was that perfect blend of like, is Jaylen out of control or is he like kind of shooting the ball ahead of himself to like beat the double team? We'll call it he shot the ball ahead of himself purposefully and then kicked it perfectly to Derek White in the corner. I did think he deserved it. I thought he was massive tonight in a game where you just needed buckets. Has the clutch block on Nembhard down the stretch. Yeah, I mean, he ends up averaging 30 points for the series. Great defense across the board. I thought he was absolutely deserving. And I just loved the moment for Jaylen. I've got the clip from him receiving the award, but I'll let you, if you want to talk on it a little bit as well.
Yeah, well, just like you said, it was a clumsy start for Jaylen Brown. And I think, like, in hindsight now, it's one of those real signs of growth for this team where if Jaylen Brown can find himself within the confines of one game, because we were saying in the first quarter, clearly not a Jaylen Brown night. Like, he just hasn't got it. There were quite a few, poor turnovers and just, like, clumsy plays, for lack of a better term, early in the game. And then the fact that he can turn it around, the fact that he can find himself and end the night with a really efficient shooting line, a really nice-looking box score line, and finally, take away that Eastern Conference Finals MVP, which was on a knife's edge, I think, all game. It was toing and froing back between either Jay throughout the game, and then with that clutch play late, Jaylen Brown just seized it. But for him to be able to find himself within the confines of the game is yet another sign of growth for this team, I think, and not something that we would have expected even a year ago. So incredibly well-deserved. Obviously love Jaylen Brown, and I love just the growth that he has made, obviously throughout his career, but just in the last season alone, I think in particular, it's really obvious how much work he's put into his game, both physically and mentally, and it's really starting to pay dividends on the court. So I know we've got some JB clips to get to, so do you want to cue some up here, Jake?
Yeah, the only thing I was just going to say, even the free throws, like he starts the game 0 for 3 from the line and then ends up 3 for 6. Like he ends up making the next 3. Like, sure, 50% from the line, not good. But like, how many times is that going to end up just being like 1 for 6? Like he misses the first few and then he makes the next 3. I'm like, and then he just stabilizes. Like that is absolutely massive growth. But yeah, here is, where is it? Yeah, it's Cedric Maxwell presenting Jalen, who absolutely nails the speech here.
How about them damn Celtics? That's what I'm going with. Well, it is my honor and it's my privilege, Jalen Brown.
Jalen, just what's it mean to you to be holding that trophy right now?
All praise to the Most High. We was in this building not too long ago. We was getting boos. Thankful to God to be here. Appreciate everything, man. Let's get some more.
Jalen, I remember the first playoff game of this postseason, just hearing you guys saying, we're back. We're back. Just what has the wait been like? The offseason, this season, the regular season. What's the wait, the work been like to get back here, going to the NBA Finals?
It's been nothing but a grind. We haven't skipped no steps all season. We got a bunch of great guys in this locker room, bunch of tough guys. Our coaching staff has been great. Front office has been great. And now we want to take it to the next step.
Thank you, Jalen. Congratulations to you. Let's hear from some of your teammates.
And here he is celebrating in the locker room after the game.
The big dog.
That's one very happy dude right there. Just taking it easy with his hardware. You love to see it.
Yes, dude.
Yeah.
The Larry Bird trophy. Jalen Brown has one. Jason Tatum has one.
Yeah, balance has been restored to the universe, and I don't want to go in like too hard on the memories of these guys and all that sort of stuff yet, because we've still got a big step to go. But I have very, very fond memories of draft night, Jalen Brown, and just the career growth and watching these guys, both Jays, get to where they are now and seeing how far they've got to go. It's one of the most satisfying aspects of being a fan of any team, I think. So it's truly a good day. I want to make sure I get back to this comment here. I'm going to have to scroll up a bit now, but we had Jack from Canberra in the chat earlier asking, here we go, you guys going to Boston? Jake, any plans to get over to Boston for the finals?
No plans to get over to Boston for the finals. Not this year. Thought about it. Thought about it. As everybody knows, my dad is still on the way to Boston for game 1 of the second round. So I was potentially going to go for that, but no, not this year. But Jack, I know you went to the finals in 2022. Jack, I hope you bring the Celtics a different experience this year. But no plans. No plans this year.
Yeah, I was there for Game 3 and Game 4. Spoonie was there with me for Game 3. Game 3 was a blast. Game 4, not so much. Although I was somehow able to sort of separate myself from my Celtics fandom at the time and appreciate what Steph Curry was doing at that moment, which was weird. I didn't think I could get there psychologically. But at some point, you realize that you're witnessing something special and you kind of get outside of your fandom a little bit. But yeah, he's rowing over there, according to Eric West in the chat. But yeah,
that's
Jack,
awesome.
have an awesome time, man. That's great. We're going to go to Vegas in July for Summer League.
Twice would be a lot.
That's where the money's being spent. And I burnt my get out of Dodge to the finals for a week card with my family 2 years ago. So no regrets.
Exactly. Yeah, look, they'll be back. More. Look, if it's, one thing we know, man, is look, nothing's guaranteed in the NBA. But like you put Jalen Brown and Jason Tatum on a team together, and they go to the conference finals and the finals a lot. They win a lot. So if everything goes to like a semi-plan, we'll have another opportunity to go back to the finals as a podcast and as a group. Maybe it's a team and a chat podcast adventure to next year's finals as we go back to back.
There's more trips in our future. Just sticking with Jalen Brown for a second, we got to the JB kick out to Derek. I want to make sure we get his insanely clutch block on, I believe it was Andrew Nembhard, a possession before that.
Send the series to Boston. Nembhard down the lane, goes inside, blocked by Brown. And Horford the rebound. Jalen Brown with another big play. Holiday in the front court. Brown searches and looks under a minute remaining. Brown on the drive, pulls back, lost the ball, got it back, kicks it out, White, corner three, bang! Derek White from downtown!
Let's
It's an insane block. And then the decision to change up his pass midair, it looked like he was going to kick out to the wing, and then he just found Derek in the corner. Like, that's elite playmaking. Like, there's no other way about it from our guy, Jaylen Brown, who has not always been that way. You love to see it.
Beautiful.
I know we've seen
play.
part of that play already on this show, but I don't think you can watch this too many times at this point, Jake.
Yeah, no, absolutely not. I mean, yeah, remember Wick has the docu movie coming. Shout out to Jazz in the chat here.
Yeah.
There's a lot of good moments to put on a championship DVD, man. Just fucking make it a championship DVD. Make it a championship documentary.
Please, God.
But Jaylen Brown, yeah, that's an incredible two-way sequence. Watching it again that time, I actually don't think he lost the ball. I don't think that he actually, I don't think he lost it. I think that he pushed the ball ahead, and he was still in control of the ball there. I'm choosing to believe with my eyes that was a designed dribble and pass there. It's beautiful.
Yeah, man. Speak it into existence. You talked about Netflix documenting this playoff run. What about this guy? Brissy TV.
Brissy!
The huddle. He's got the camera creating elite level content. Can't wait to see that up on YouTube. That's going to be amazing. And hopefully the Netflix cameras caught this. Per Jay King from The Athletic, Sam Hauser has shotgunned at least one beer in the Celtics locker room as well. I'm going to wait for the championship victory before I start shotgunning beers. But yeah.
If I didn't have basketball tonight, I would have been with Sam Hauser. So we'll hold off. We'll hold off for today. But that's going to be a big night for them and for us if we actually pull that thing off. But yeah, we're not going to get ahead of ourselves. Soraka Vulcan in the chat here. Mavs can score. We know. We'll talk about the Mavs a little bit at the end here. But look, yes, the destination is important, especially when it comes to sports. But the journey is why we do it, And it's important to appreciate going back to the finals and the season that they've had so far. We're going to lock right back in. Yeah, shout out to the chat. Sam Hauser was drinking to forget his performance.
He hit a 3 tonight. That's progress. That's progress in my book.
Absolutely progress. Massive progress. And he didn't airball any threes either. So
that's true. Also progress. Defended well-ish.
Well-ish. So why did they go away from Pritchard? Why has it been more Hauser than Pritchard? I'm kind of surprised. We got the Pritchard Big Nuts 3 today. He had another 3 that went in and out, but I'm a much bigger believer in the Peyton Pritchard minutes right now than Hauser. I wonder if it's a size defense thing that there may be he was getting toasted by McConnell. I can't lie. I think we can leave this series and be McConnell owns Peyton Pritchard a little bit as far as the small white boy bowl is concerned.
Yeah, well, good free lesson not really a free lesson for PP when you look at his fucking face.
Dude.
After getting a foot dragged across his face.
Insane.
Look at him. He looks like he's been to war. It's ridiculous. Looks like he got hit with the butt of a rifle in the face or something. It's a crazy bashed up looking face there. So he looks okay. I think he's apparently, according to my Twitter timeline, he's posting all over Instagram about it now with various angles of his otherwise perfect face. But yeah, it came out worse for wear in the series.
How is it not a flagrant? I don't understand how that was a flagrant. And then, I honestly, Jalen's, I am stunned, was not a flagrant either. But they didn't even review the Isaiah Jackson one, who's known to kick people in the faces. So he got away with another one there, Isaiah Jackson. But yeah, no, Pritchard, rest up. Yeah, I guess who needs a clean, unbruised face for the finals? Not Peyton Pritchard. He's ready to go.
He's got plenty of time to heal. Jason Tatum, I was going to somehow use that to segue to KP. That would have made sense with time to heal. But Jason Tatum, we've got to talk about it. Started the game efficiently. Started off hitting his 3, started hitting at an efficient clip. And as the game went on, it went the other way. But very aggressive on the boards from the get-go. Ended the game with 13 boards and 8 rebounds along with his 26 points. And we were saying in the playback stream, we've said this all postseason long, that a really good early indicator of Jason Tatum's engagement within a game is his aggressiveness on the boards. And he was, less aggressive, I think, to start the last game. And this one, he was just going up there and seizing the fucking ball like his life depended on it. And that just helps the team with the right energy, getting out in transition, looking to score that way. So the way that he commanded the game, despite his poor efficiency, captain's knock
Yes.
I don't think, clearly not as much as the last game, but there were times, long stretches of the game where it felt like Jason Tatum was completely in control. And even when we were down and we were struggling to generate offense, particularly in the second half, again, talking about this in the playback, we kind of had this sense that JT had, a finger on the button, so to speak. It felt like he had another level that he could go to and take control of the game. And we saw that come to fruition as the game ended there. But despite that poor efficiency, I thought JT was really good, Jake.
I think this, again, it's been this kind of the story. It's like if a couple of the threes go in, then the stat line just looks different. And he had two threes just go in and out. And one of them was just like halfway down. So his stat line looks completely different if he goes 5 for 11 from 3 and 13 for 26. Obviously, he ends up with 32 instead of that. But the rebounding was so immense, especially in the second half. So he had 8 boards in the second half alone. And 5 rebounds in the fourth quarter. In the fourth quarter, 7 points, 5 boards, 2 assists, a steal. He was doing the everything stuff. And that's the part of Jason Tatum's game that we love the most. And that's the part of Jason Tatum's game that remains underrated. And that's the part of Jason Tatum's game that people just do not seem to be able to acknowledge. I don't know what it is, but I don't know how you watch these games and not see that he's just so much more than a scorer. Not a top apex scorer. One of the best offensive players in the league. Top 10 offensive players in the league. We are the best defensive rebounding team in the NBA, and that's because of Jason Tatum. It's not because of Al Horford. We haven't had Kristaps Porzingis for this whole run. It's because of Jason Tatum on this team. Captain's knock. You want a couple more shots to go in, but look, we'll take it, man. It's totally fine.
We won the game. Fucking how we won. I still can't believe it. I need to go back as soon as we're done here and take care of some things with work. I need to just find a quiet corner of my house and rewatch the final 5 minutes of this game because I still can't quite grasp how they did it. And there'll be more podcasts once we've gathered a little bit more intel on just exactly how they achieved this. But we could just say collective Celtics awesomeness in the meantime was the catalyst for this win. It felt like we got something from everyone in this game. It really did feel in the end it sounds cliche, but a top to bottom team effort. We mentioned, Sam Hauser hit a 3. It was a close game. Necessary 3. I also thought he held up really well defensively, and that's why he played 14 minutes compared to Pritchard's 9, I think, in cases. We haven't seen O'Shea Brissett. We've seen a lot more Tillman, but I thought Tillman was solid enough in his minutes. And from your third big or backup big or whatever you want to call him,
fourth big,
at times, that's all you need is for someone to come in and just hold their own, be solid for stretches of the game, and not just not shit the bed, not let go of the rope. And if you can be really good at that, which Tillman has been, that's really valuable during a deep playoff run. Maybe we can get to Drew Holiday, who I think in a lot of people's minds maybe was the more deserved Eastern Conference Finals MVP, which I don't want to take anything away from Jaylen Brown because he was incredible, but Drew Holiday throughout the whole series was amazing. We've got to welcome in our guy here, Jack Simone. The How About the Celtics podcast, who got a great new soundbite from Cedric Maxwell during the Conference Finals presentation trophy. Jake, you're dialing in from the arena there in Indiana. How you doing?
I am. I'm here. I'm in Indy. I had to do a little work before I jumped on here, and they're tearing down the court for a Fever game tomorrow, so I'm not by the court with a super cool view, but I found an extra workroom where nobody is, so I can talk freely, but appreciate y'all for having me on. I had to stop by for a little bit at least.
Hell yeah, dude.
How are the vibes there?
Vibes were good, dude. There's so many Celtics fans here. After the game, during that trophy presentation, I'm sure y'all saw it on TV. It was like again, I'm sure you guys could hear the chants on TV. It was so loud, let's go Celtics. It was, they showed out in Indy for the Celtics. It was great.
I love it. Yeah, I had a feeling this would be the Celtics game, up 3-0 on the road. Tickets get a little cheaper. I saw that contingent of Celtics fans with the iconic Derek White t-shirt. So, we love to see that. And they didn't let us down. They got the W. I know, Jack, we just started talking about Drew Holiday. Did you have a take on Eastern Conference MVP? Did he need to be Drew? But he had a case. I'm not sure I would have gone there, but he was incredible again tonight.
So we went to dinner last night. It was me, Noah, Justin Turpin, Bobby Koritsky, Bobby Manning, and Kari Thompson. went to dinner last night. We were around the table, and this was obviously before this game, and we all voted for who would be Eastern Conference Finals MVP. I was the only one who said Drew. Everyone else said Jalen. I was like, nah, it's Drew. So I was very all in on Drew Holiday winning the Eastern Conference Finals MVP before this game. Jalen absolutely solidified. He should have gone to Drew. Jalen deserved it after this game, but like the consistency with which Drew impacted winning in this series was unbelievable, and he deserves all the credit for that. So I went on a whole rant in our podcast that we recorded a little bit ago. He was unbelievable in this game.
He's been so good from game. I want to say, is it game 3 in the Cavs series? Game 2, game 3. Game 3 from the Cavs series on. He has been so good. I mean, defensively, he's been excellent from the jump in the playoffs, but offensively as well now. Again, he has that and one on. It was like a mirror image of the one in game 3 on Siakam, but he had this time on Obi Toppin. And one in the clutch to help the Celtics steal this one. And then I cannot stop talking enough about his offensive rebounding. He gets the last offensive rebound off the Tatum 3, which they, did they need it? Still up 3 with 5 seconds to go. You wanted it. And Drew Holiday has been there for so many big rebounds. And like the winning plays have just been so big. He ends up 2 for 6 from 3. He had 1 3 just be a tiny bit short. He was like that shot away from having another like 20-point game on 13 shots, but still an awesome game. 17 on 13 shots, 9 boards, 2 assists, only 1 turnover. Like championship DNA, like the infusion of Drew into this team. You've really felt him in the playoffs.
Yeah, I feel like Drew has joined the Jason Tatum club of still impacting a game without necessarily shooting efficiently, which is unique to a small group of players in the NBA. And Drew was, he was quite efficient in this game, 7 of 13, 2 of 6 from 3. But throughout the stretch of the playoffs, he's had less efficient shooting nights, but his offensive rebounding, his playmaking, his defense, obviously, he's so impactful, like when you completely eliminate the scoring aspect of his game. So to have a guy like that deep into a playoff run and to be as durable as Drew has been, Brad Stevens, man, like got one more big step here, but he's a hell of a team builder.
It's such an incredible job. And I keep forgetting that Porzingis is on this team. Like he's a part of this team, and they just haven't needed him because they're that good. And hopefully he'll be back for the finals. They got plenty of rest now before then. But just like, I've just been so impressed with the way this team has handled success and failure this season. Like the road here was almost boring because of how consistently just solid the Celtics were. And now they're in the finals, and there's still 4 more wins left to get to the ultimate goal. But man, they made it to the place they need to be at this point in the season, and that's all they can do. Take it step by step, and they've done a damn good job of that.
Yeah, look, did they get some luck along the way? Yes. Has the rest of the national media somehow forgotten that Kristaps? I think they're like you, Jack. They have also forgotten that Kristaps Porzingis is on this team. I wasn't watching the halftime show on whatever channel it was, but like apparently Bob Myers was like, this Celtics team, they're fully healthy. And like I keep seeing like how many podcasts like this team's fully healthy. And all I heard all year long was how important Kristaps Porzingis is. Is it the second most important player? He's more important than Jaylen Brown. He's not more important than Jaylen Brown. But like he takes his team from going from like really good team, 58, 57 win team to game breaker, game changer, matchup proof. They haven't had him. He got hurt in game 3 of the first round. And people just, I don't know, just have collective amnesia when it comes to the Boston Celtics. But yeah, they've done everything they needed to.
There's been so many moments through this Pacers series where you're like, what a luxury it would be to just be able to throw it into the big fella, man. Just let KP go to work. Whether it's just like, because Miles Turner was already in foul trouble in this game. And with KP's like pump fake game and just how he can get guys off their feet and into foul trouble that way. And obviously just the post-up scoring efficiency. Like first half of the season, every day I was waking up reading about KP's efficiency in post-up play and thinking, fuck yeah, my life is forever better because of this. And we've just missed that so much in the playoffs despite our, 12-2 record now. That said, Jack, you've been in the arena, I would imagine, sharing at least our room, if that even is just the big room with the bloody court in the middle with KP. Have you seen the big fella walking around? Has he been moving okay?
He's been on the bike a little bit. You see him getting some work in. He hasn't been as open about working like in front of the media like he was back at the Auerbach Center, but you saw him on the bike a little bit, all smiles. Like as per usual. It feels like he should be. I don't want to say like definitely back to the finals, but I don't think if he isn't back for the finals, the injury was far worse than anybody let on, or there was a setback. I don't really know right now because they've been so under wraps about it. I mean, you say the name Kristaps Porzingis and Joe Mazzulla says, I don't know, man. Sorry, I don't know.
Yeah.
Like he like you could say, hey, is he alive right now? And Joe would be like, I don't know. I haven't heard anything. like they're keeping it completely under wraps, so there's no idea.
Yeah, the chat here, the KP code. I do wonder. So there's definitely been like Pritchard before the game was like, I think he's going to be ready to go, like very confidently. Like I think he's going to be ready to go. While talking to Abby Chin on the Bill Simmons podcast last night, Bill Simmons was like very confident he was going to come back. I don't know, like I don't know what he knows, but everybody's starting to and then so I went back because I've been like not confident, and so Noah uploaded this video. This is like 2 weeks ago that Kristaps was moving around like this. So this is like the last time we really saw him moving around. He's doing like some pick and pop stuff, but here's the move right here. He catches the ball at the elbow. There's a little step back fade. I'm like, okay, that looks good. And then he catches it again, and a little fake handoff, couple of quick steps, pops, knocks it down. Another one, fake handoff, getting a little saucy with the dribble, knocks it down. So that's 2 weeks ago. That's 2 weeks ago.
Wow.
Immediately after that video, Noah just goes, I didn't realize how bad my camera was. It needs to be wiped off. That's why I'm laughing, because I just remember her taking that and getting back to how the camera was.
Noah, get a better camera so we can really so we can zoom in on the giant Latvian calves that Kristaps Porzingis has. But so that's 2 weeks ago. He's moving pretty not great. It was funny. Like I retweeted that today, and the split on how people perceive it is very funny. Like to me, I'm like, oh, that's 2 weeks ago. That's encouraging. Other people saw that and be like, oh, damn, he's not coming back, is he? I'm like, so like it's kind of in the eye of the beholder. My very low amount of knowledge on soft tissue injuries and how they progress. Some people in the First to the Floor Discord, which is littered with PhD students and scientists and mechatronics and
Seriously?
bunch of geniuses. I forget who said it in there, but they were like, the way that soft tissue muscles injuries progress, it's like the first part of the injury like takes a lot to get through the first part of the injury. But as you progress, like the progression is faster. That could just be cope by Celtics fans in the First to the Floor Discord. But like in theory, that does make sense, as my own hip injury was very similar recently. First part of the injury took me forever to kind of get to like feel like I was actually healing. And then the last 4 weeks, I just became like, I'm like back now. So if we can compare two different muscles and two very different body types between the 5'7" Australian and the 7'3" Latvian, that's my hope. I'm starting to feel better about it.
Yeah, Jack, just to this question here in the chat, are you worried about throwing Porzingis into finals intensity? Like, I think, not to answer this question for you, Jack, but there would have been some concern about KP's first finals appearance anyway, and now we've got 10 days off. That's obviously a good extra period of time for healing there, but hopefully some ramp up as well. How concerned are you? And especially given how well we've played without him, how much of a, I don't want to call it a problem, but like how much of an issue might it be to reintroduce KP given the rhythm this team has had without him and the stakes?
Yeah, I think there's always that concern, like with any guy. I think it speaks to me that they didn't bring him back in the series, because like that tells me they're not going to bring him back unless he's absolutely 100%. Like they're not going to bring him back unless he is 1,000,000% ready to play on the basketball court. And the finals intensity is absolutely a thing. And Dallas or maybe Minnesota is going to be really juiced up by that time too. But I think the beauty of Porzingis is, while some of those post ups get a little aggressive, some of those getting down low for rebounds, like his game isn't really gonna take a massive physical toll on you game, right? Like he's got to be running around. You got to be ready for it. But like they're gonna play drop defense, like again against Dallas. They're gonna have a lot of those pick and pops, and even if he can get in that rhythm a little bit with some of the pick and pops, and even if Dallas decides to attack him, which I assume Kyrie and Luka will probably try to bring him back to the perimeter, like I don't think he's going to have to be like banging down. Like there's no Joel Embiid or Jokic for him to have to be banging down low with against Dallas. And so I think it's definitely concerned just in terms of he's going to be playing in an NBA game for the first time in a month or whatever it's going to be at that point. But I think if they're bringing him back, he is going to be 100% ready to go. And this team has enough sample size of playing with him to get back to that. And if anything, it's just kind of going to be like having a better Al at this point. And that's huge for the Celtics team. And I think they've really missed his rim protection. So I think he'll be all right.
Yeah. Well, something I was thinking about today, like I wonder if he'd be on a minutes restriction or whatever, but like, do you bring him off the bench when he comes back? Like they've got this rhythm with this group now. It's like on one hand, it's like Kristaps is the most comfortable playing with that group. So you want to make him feel the most comfortable. But at the same time, this group has just done it now for so long together in the playoffs. Do you just leave that as is and you bring KP? Because I'm not, KP's played with all different lineups, so it's probably not a huge concern. But I don't know. Thoughts, Ben?
Well, one of the more problematic things for the Celtics has been who plays when Al sits. And we've shuffled that deck a little bit. We're seeing, value from O'Shea and from Tillman as well. But I would imagine there'd be a bit more consistency if when Al sits, it's KP in the Tillman or O'Shea spot there. I would very much like to think that that's the case. Or if it is KP starting, do you just restrict his minutes, like you said, Jake, and there's still more Al off the bench, but Al's minutes are subsequently limited by the very fact that KP is playing more as well. So I think worst case, it helps the Al situation, which is great for us, and then we get to maintain the rhythm of that unit too. So just get him out there if he's at all healthy. Like we're gonna need the guy. We're gonna need his spacing. We're gonna need his length. We're gonna need his rim protection. He has held up, I think, a lot of the time in drop coverage, and we know we're going to be going to that a lot against Luka and Kyrie. So get him out there. In worst case, if he just props up Al's game, that's fine by me. We've got to get to Derek White as well before we start to wrap up the show. We've got a few more things to get to. With Derek White, 5 steals and 3 blocks.
So many stocks.
Yeah, and basically the game-clinching corner 3 there as well. Jack Simone, Jake Eisenberg. I know I'm in a room here full of Derek White absolute stans. Jack, what was your experience watching Derek White tonight?
The stocks are great. They were like relentlessly targeting Derek White on defense for the whole game. Like the stocks were great, and he ended up having an all right game, but he was not like as effective as the Derek White we know and love defensively in this series. Really, they really went at him every time the Celtics missed a shot. Siakam was the first one down the floor, and it was him on Derek White in the post. Like every single time you looked up, Siakam was in the post against Derek White, and that just isn't a matchup that, for as great as he is defensively, like he's going to get bullied a little bit by bigger guys because he's small. Hasn't had a good shooting series the last 2 series really since Miami. He's been a little bit off from 3, but game on the line, need a bucket, corner 3, Derek White, dude. Like, what are we doing? Of course, year to date from the Miami shot. Are you kidding?
Yeah, man.
It's crazy.
I asked him about it. He just goes, "Must be a good day." He came up so clutch. It's so hard to get mad at Derek when he plays poorly too, because like I said, I don't think he had a great defensive game, but man, is that man just the moment is not too bright for Derek White ever.
Yeah, I agree. Like, I don't think that he was perfect in the series or, on either end. But what I loved in the last couple of games, like he just makes plays. Like, yeah, and they're going to hunt him in the Mavs series. And that's also why I want KP back too. Like, come into the playoffs, Al and KP double big lineup was a lineup I was like, I think that in the playoffs gives you so much size and defensive versatility. Well, you can't hunt in an ISO. Well, you can hunt maybe in a different type of way, but you're not backing guys down. But yeah, Derek White, back to Jimmy Butler last year. But that's the thing. He makes plays. Whether it's what series was it? Yeah, it was the same series. There was he broke up an Obi Toppin lob, getting back to the basket. He's just gonna continue to find ways to impact the game. And that's what he did tonight with the 5 stocks. But he ends up 7 for 14. He had he bailed the Celtics out of a couple of tough possessions, like a mid-range pull-up over Siakam, and I was like, finally, the Pacers getting a taste of their own medicine, hitting some of these insanely difficult mid-range jumpers with a hand in their faces. He made those plays, and yeah, all season long, he has been the guy that's hit the big shot in the corners, at the top above of the break. You name the type of clutch shot, and Derek White's been there, and It was so good to see him hit that shot. I can't believe it's on the same day as last year's Miami Game 6 day. And the most Derek White response ever is to be like, yeah, must be a good day. Yeah. Agreed, Derek. Agreed.
He's just a beautiful man. Perfect male specimen. And his creator, Richard White, was interviewed by Chris Forsberg out on the floor after the game. He was basically saying the same thing, like, holy shit. Like he was asked like what he was feeling during that play, during the stretch, late stretch of this game. And I'm paraphrasing, but yeah, basically like, holy fucking shit, my heart is still beating like crazy. Like, especially when it's your own kid. Like, if you think being a Celtics fan is tough, when it's watching your own kid, like, you just got so much invested in that game. And to see him pull that out a year to the date from that tip in from the Miami Game 6 there is truly incredible. So shout out Derek White. He's always there to give you what you need when you need it. And his prevalence in our late game play, like his involvement in those late game possessions, whether it's as the ball handler, whether it's setting the pick, whether it's like flaring out with perfect timing to get on the catch there. He's just so involved in that late game play, and that feels very intentional. And it wasn't always like that.
Yes.
Going back to the Ime days, we're begging for more Derek White time, and it feels like he's now at this point where he's like well and truly recognized as someone who absolutely needs to be involved if we want our late game execution to be productive. And now we're seeing him, especially in this series, involved in every single late game possession. So you love to see the evolution there. Al Horford, if we want to get to him very quickly, had this to say after the game.
Just how hungry are you to finally get that title?
Starving. We ready for it. We can't wait.
Congratulations. We'll see you in the finals, Al.
Thank you.
Starving.
Can we get this man a fucking championship? Please. Like,
he's hungry. Come on. Dude. Man. Very different vibes, right? Like, I mean, this whole run compared to the 2022 run, like very much a happy to be there energy. Like last time we went to the finals, Al Horford had never been to the finals. He was like the player who had played in the most playoff games without ever going to a finals. And now he's up there for someone who's played in the most playoff games without ever winning a title. And he's trying to go out there. He's doing everything he can to get this ring. Last game, he goes, 7 for 12 from 3. And today the Pacers did a really good job of like not giving Horford those shots. He only had 3 3-point attempts today compared to the 12 in the last game. But solid, 7 points, 8 boards, 5 assists, no turnovers, steal and a block. Horford, man. And now he can rest. A man can rest back in the tank. We're going to need him, man. Whatever happens with KP, I don't know if we're getting 100% KP one way or whatever it is, but like we're going to need Horford. We always need Horford. It's always a Horford series. When the question is this going to be an Al Horford series? The question is always yes. It's always an Al Horford series.
There aren't, like, Joe was asked about Al Horford. He was asked like, can you describe what Al Horford means to this team? Doc Rivers, come on, man. It's been weeks. Give me a break, man.
It's late there. It's late.
I'm exhausted.
If you're listening to the audio, Rivens has been roasting Jack for eating one time on the playback stream in the chat here, which we forgive you for, Jack.
I appreciate that. Joe was asked about like what Al means to this team, and Joe just kind of laughed. He goes, "I can't put it into words, but I'll try my best. He's just the best." He's like, he can't figure out a way. And he went on this whole thing about how amazing Al is and what he means to this team. It's just incredible to see him doing what he's doing at his age. Which he was asked about the other day too. He was like, does it bother you keep getting asked about the age questions? He goes, I get it. But he wasn't picked on as much in the series as the Cavs series. You could feel him lock in. He was huge in that game 3. Game 3 on the defensive end. He was getting blocks, that big block on Obi Toppin in transition. He's done everything for this Celtics team, especially with KP out. Like the big point of getting KP was like, oh, you can let Al rest a little bit. Psych, no,
Psych,
doing everything, and he's just stepped up to the plate year after year after year. It's just awesome.
Yeah, he averaged 1.8 blocks in this series, 1.8 blocks per game. The only person to average more blocks was Derek White, which is amazing in and of itself with 2.3 blocks per game. But Al also 39.3% from beyond the arc on 7 attempts per game in this series. And that's what the Pacers defense was conceding early on. And you can see gradual regret setting in as the series progressed, where by the end, like tonight, they were actually taking away those 3-point opportunities from Al because they sort of finally realized, like, fuck, this old fella can shoot. So let's let them find their offense elsewhere. So huge contribution from Al. And as far as like, post-game wrap-ups and things like that, where you're trying to hit on all the points of why a team won or lost, Al often like lurks in the shadows to some degree. Like he's a bit backbone-esque in that sense, that he might not always rise to the surface in highlight plays or, stat lines or anything like that. But, true Celtics fans know his impact night in and night out. And it was great to see that again tonight. Anything else on this game or series, guys? Like, I want to wrap up on some Bill Walton stuff and maybe talk about the Mavs very quickly, but anything else?
Only one thing, Jack. I couldn't believe it. Xavier Tillman's out there, and after everything we've talked about, he has the corner three, the shot clock winding down, and he doesn't pull it, and he dribbles into a shot clock violation. The one time I want him to shoot it, he fucking holsters that thing. What are we doing?
I thought of you. I was so mad. So upset.
Oh, that's good. But yeah, no, that's all I had left on this one. Four more to go, boys.
Yeah, just jack him up. If you're in the corner, Tillman, just jack him up. We all want it, mate. Now, look, Wick, Grousbeck. Wick. We'll call him Wick. Was in
Big
the
Wick.
part of... we'll cut that from the podcast. Wick was in the huddle during the end of game conference finals presentation ceremony, much detested by Rick Carlisle prior to the game. And Wick had this to say when asked about what this award meant to him.
Well, all I can think about right now is we lost a great Celtic today. Bill Walton, one of the greatest Celtics of all time. This is dedicated to Bill.
Hell
That's
yeah,
awesome.
Wick. Great timing there to get a mention in for Bill Walton, who sadly passed away today. Rest in peace. Bill Walton, just anyone you ask, and it's been, if you can find a silver lining in something like this, is just the outpouring of positive vibes dedicated to Bill Walton after his passing, where like no one has anything even slightly negative to say about the guy. He's just a life-changing, positive presence by all accounts. I don't know if you guys have anything to say about Bill Walton, but it just seemed like basically the coolest fucking dude ever.
Yeah, dude, seems like a legend. Like, yeah, I mean, on the playback stream, Ben, you were like on my, pantheon of guys to have a beer with. He was kind of up there, and it may not have been a beer. It may have been a natural herbal substance that we may have been sharing. But he seems like a legend. Rick Carlisle in the pregame had an awesome story about asking Bill Walton for tickets to a sold out Grateful Dead show, and Walton hooked him up with backstage passes for his then first date with his now wife. And I think the quote was like, Bill tried to make it feel like every moment of life was like being lived to its maximum, and just that's just a great way to live your life, and a great someone to look up to as far as how they live their life. But yeah, legend, Celtic legend.
Yeah. The entire pregame, with Rick Carlisle, was just him talking about Rick Carlisle and telling stories. And like Jake mentioned, the Grateful Dead show, he was like, yeah, Bill just told me to go, go backstage and ask for this guy and tell him I was on
yeah.
And he said, yeah, I came back with all access passes and we watched the show from the stage because we came back with Bill's and his wife's season, passes to the Grateful Dead. Everything you hear about Bill Walton is just like you said, Jake, just does not spare a moment of happiness in his life. And so rest in peace to a legend, a Celtics legend, just great person, great everything on and off the court, from everything you hear everywhere.
And on the court, at one point in his career, was the best player in the league in the late 70s there for that championship-winning Blazers team. And then obviously featured off the bench for the 86 Celtics, winning a title with Larry Bird and the C's there. So an awesome presence on and off the court, like you guys said. So rest in peace, Bill Walton. The Mavs, very quickly, look very likely to be our opponent in the finals. We can finally talk about the finals without.
We're going to be in the finals.
Jinxing them. No more touch wood. But it certainly does seem like it's going to be the Mavs unless the Wolves pull off an unprecedented comeback from down 0-3. Jack, let's just do quickly here, I suppose, because we're going to have a lot of time to spat about the Mavs or whatever the matchup ends up being. Confidence heading into a series against the Mavs, because the Celtics now can say they've been there. I think everyone in our starting lineup has played in the finals before. The Mavs have less experience and are possibly more exploitable defensively Are you relatively confident going into this series?
I feel all right. I think the Mavs are a better matchup for the Celtics than the Timberwolves. I stand on that regardless of the result of the series. I said that before the series. Like you mentioned, there's just more people to pick on. And for what it's worth, I think the Celtics match up defensively better with the Mavs than anybody the Mavs have faced in the playoffs. Even the Timberwolves, who are a great defense in their own right, like they have two guys in the starting lineup that Luka and Kyrie can just say, come over here. Let me just cook you real quick. Like Gobert in that game too. And Towns is what he is. Like Towns sat at the end of game two. Like that, the Celtics don't really have that. And they're going to go at Al Horford, absolutely. But I trust Al Horford more than Towns and Gobert on the perimeter.
Oh, yeah.
You have Kristaps in the drop works, but the Celtics just have better, I think, 1 through 4 guys straight up to play help, to use their length, to do everything. Like I have more confidence in those guys. And all the people saying like, oh, what about clutch time? What about this? Like Luka and Kyrie are killers. Celtics clutch time was pretty great this series. The last 3 minutes tonight, 7-0 the Pacers. And I get it's the Pacers and Andrew Nembhard versus Luka is a very different thing. But I feel good. I feel pretty all right.
Yeah, look, this was coming into the playoffs. Nuggets were number 1 at the top of the teams that I didn't want to play. And like, if you can't watch these playoffs and understand how important matchups are, if there isn't a team that's like the 17-18 Warriors, if you don't have like Heatles, if you don't have a team that's just like not just matchup proof, but also talent like off the charts compared to who else is around, even teams that might have like be a good matchup for them, the matchups really freaking matter in the playoffs. And the Timberwolves were the perfect matchup to take down the Nuggets, which is such a good outcome for the Celtics. We just did not have an answer for Jokic. Just did not at all. And then you look at the Mavs, like beforehand, I would have said I would much prefer to play the Mavs than the Thunder. I think that the way that the Thunder spreads you out offensively, whereas like the which I'm kind of waver on now that I've seen the Thunder had kind of more help, the ways you could help off. But the Mavs, man, I get that they've got PJ Washington and Derek Jones Jr. and they've been playing really good defense. The Wolves offense was not good all year long. And the Nuggets, like the no rim protection, Jamal Murray was banged up, KCP was banged up. Like they lost depth. Their defense was not the same as it was in the year previous. And then the Phoenix that the Wolves played in the first round, awful defense. So the Mavs, like, played the Wolves and shut them down kind of across the board. The Celtics offense is not the Wolves. Like the Wolves clutch time, you talk about bad clutch time offenses, they were like 23rd in clutch time all year long. I think the Celtics were better than the Mavs in crunch time, I think, from a record perspective. I forget, but they were right there with each other. It's a better matchup, but at the same time, like, it's hard to not be terrified of Luka specifically. I'm like less scared of Kyrie. We've kind of handled him pretty well. I'm sure he's going to have his moments, but I think the matchup is good. You put Tatum on Lively and you kind of, we'll talk about the matchups.
If Lively plays. If he plays.
This neck thing will be interesting. Like Terry Rozier missed a ton of time with his neck injury. So I'm expecting him to play, but I've just been expecting everyone that's injured against the Celtics to play, and none of them have played. So guess we'll see.
Yeah, look, all interesting points. But we're out of time, so I'll keep this short. But yeah, the matchup very favorable for the Celtics. Where I think myself and most people are concerned is if it gets into crunch time, you've got two absolute killers there, and they do have enough on the Mavs side defensively to maybe generate stops if the Celtics do get a little bit tight in crunch time. But between Luka and Kyrie, if it's a tie game with a minute to go with these like incredibly high stakes game, like legacies are on the line, I will be absolutely shitting myself.
Oh, it's going to be awful.
Throughout the stretch of a game, I like the Celtics' potential to like build a big lead and avoid crunch time to begin with. So hopefully that's the way it goes down. 4 blowouts, fuck a competitive series.
Please.
Give us this ring. Let's get it done. But look, we're going to be on this channel live a lot between now and when that series starts, and hopefully some more crossover efforts between us and the How About Them Celtics guys. That's going to do it for this one. Thank you so much for joining us. Like I said, we're going to be back here live on this channel pretty much every day between now and the end of the postseason. And then if things go according to plan, many days after after the championship, live for the parade and whatever else might happen. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Jack Simone, Jake Eisenberg, love your work, guys. Until next time, go Celtics.